All right, y'all. So I have been diving into so many books lately, and I just wrapped up another book that I have read. And this one comes from Talia Hibbert, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. It is Talia Hibbert's first young adult book. So if you're interested in these type of books by Black authors, this book was really cute, just like the title says. But we have our main characters here, Celine, and then we have Brad or Bradley here. And basically these two, it starts off with them in high school. It's the first day of their senior year. And these two are enemies, but they have a past history. They used to be best friends. Their moms are best friends. So they still, always hear things about each other throughout the years. But I think around 12 years old, is where they really had that really strong friendship. So by the time we get to them in high school, they're in their senior year. The backdrop of this also, I need to mention that this is in the UK. So there are like references here that you may not understand what certain words and things mean. But what Talia did was she put a glossary here, which I thought was so cute. And she'll go through and like explain what certain colloquials mean that you'll be reading throughout the book. So we start at the beginning of the school year. Our girl Celine is trying to get in this program. And this program does involve her getting a scholarship. And she really wants to try to apply for this program. But it involves camping. It involves being outdoors, something she really doesn't like to do. And the bad thing that happens to her on the first day is that her little enemy right here ends up breaking her arm. And then this kind of like starts off with them and how we get into their relationship, how they have gotten to the point of not becoming friends, and then slowly getting them back into this friendship throughout the book. And also it's a rom-com. So if you enjoy rom-com, it's a fun read. If you enjoy like outdoorsy things, this would be a good book for you. Okay, so there's something that I did forget to mention here. If you are triggered by reading books that may mention like a person with OCD, that is mentioned. So it's not really heavy in this book, so it's palatable. So I hope I say that right, palatable. But yeah, so it's not to the point where it's gonna be overwhelming, but we do get to see how one of the main characters are experiencing OCD. We also see where the other main character is also going through what happened to them, the trauma of like the breakup of a marriage of their parents and how that has affected them. So if that is something that is not for you, then I would not recommend this book. However, it is very lightly addressed in this book. This is a young adult book, so it doesn't go too far into that. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was an easy read. I read it within a few days. I really had to like slow myself down and just process the things that were going on. This one is so sweet. Like if you enjoy a romantic book where you pretty much you fall in love with the guy who is my guy here, Brad. Like you get to go into his mind a lot, and he's just a sweetheart, and he's deserving of everything that he gets. Like when you get to understand who he is and his personality, you can't help but not like this guy. So this is one of those books where you will definitely fall in love with him and how he thinks, and you can, kind of empathize with some of the things that he's going through on his side that other people may not know. Celine may be aware of certain things about him, but like she's the only person that will know certain secrets about him that he hasn't even shared with some of his best friends in high school. Talia Hibbert also is the same author of Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I really want to read that book. I heard so many great things about that book and the series for the Brown sisters, so I do want to cop that next. But yeah, a good read. Very easy, very fun, lighthearted book. Okay, so now to my TBR books that I'm going to be reading up next. So I recently purchased Jasmine Guillory's Drunk on Love book. And so this book sounds like it's gonna be a really good book. She's definitely a popular Black author as well in romance books. So look her up. You can go to the link in the bio if you're interested in finding more books by Jasmine Guillory. I have them there. But let me tell you about this book. So I'm just kind of going off what's on the back because I haven't read this yet. This is on my next book to read. Right now I have an audio book that I've been listening to, and I'll talk about that in a few. But so for this one, Drunk on Love, Margot Noble. I'm gonna sum it up basically. Margot Noble, she is in Napa. So we're talking about Napa Valley, wineries, all of that, right? And her family has one. She's charming, she's professional, but we see where she has a fun little night with this guy named Luke Williams, who is in the tech industry, and he quits his job in tech, and then he ends up, long story short, he ends up hooking up with Miss Margot, but he gets the job at her winery. So we get to see what's gonna happen here, where she's kind of stuck with this guy that she hooked up at her job, and like kind of see what type of a nightmare this is gonna be, or if it's gonna turn into a wonderful and beautiful romance while being in the wine country. So I thought this was pretty interesting, and I can't wait to read this book next. Okay, so up next we have For All Time. I love romance novels, but I love a good like romance mixed with like a little bit of fantasy here. And this is a newer author for me, Shanna Miles. And so this book is basically going to be about this romance between these two characters that they keep ending up in these different lifetimes, and for some reason it does not work out. And so in the book we'll get to start off with a different lifetime that they're in, and they're going to try to see if they can make this work. So if you're interested in those type of books where it's like you may have to go back in history a lot and see what happened in the lifetime before, almost like a twin flame soulmate type of book, this is gonna be the book for you. I think I found this, the link to the bio for this on Amazon, but if not, you can find this at Books A Million. That's where I got it from. So I can't wait to read this as well. So the book that I'm currently reading is an audiobook by Kennedy Ryan. So that's that, Kennedy Ryan. Real. I might have to like show a screenshot so that you can see that better. But Kennedy Ryan is a phenomenal romance novelist or author, if you want to say as well. And she's got the book Before I Let Go, and then there's like the second book to that series too that I really want to read. And so this one I got it for free off of Hoopla. If you have a library card, you can download the Hoopla app, sign in, use your library card, and see if your library allows you to use this app. And so you get to basically rent that book for 21 days, and then it automatically returns it back to that app. So this book has been pretty interesting. So if you love a book that's romance, it's got some historical fiction thrown in there, this is gonna be your book. It's got the Hollywood it's got the Hollywood glam from like the Harlem Renaissance era thrown in here. And so let me tell you about the characters. So our guy Kanan is a movie director, producer, and he is trying to film this documentary on this woman named Desi. And so he's trying to retell her life, all of what she did, how the history that she made and all of that. And so he's looking for the lead character to play Desi in his film. And they find this beautiful singer by the name of Neva. And she's not an actress. So this is a big, deal that they spent several months trying to audition women to play the role of Desi Banks in his film, but he's not happy with it. But immediately when he sees Neva, he hears her sing and her performance, he knows that she's gonna be the perfect fit for his film. On top of that, he is attracted to her, but he's like, I'm not gonna think about that, because in the past he has had a bad rep for messing around with women that he filmed movies for. And so that went very, it went left in the past. And so even the people, his cast that works with him, they're really cautious about him. Why are you trying to hire this woman? She doesn't have experience. And he's like, just listen to her sing, just let her act, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. She's going to be the perfect person for it. Okay. Now we move on to Miss Neva. Okay, so Neva Saint is our next character in this story, and she has a great background in Broadway. And so this is how we get where Kanan discovers Neva through his friend. So his friend is friends with Neva, and he's like, hey, let's go to this show. We'll check out my friend or whatever. And so when Kanan sees Neva on stage, immediately he's like, she's going to be the perfect person to film this movie with. And his best friend, I should say, his friend is like, what do you mean? Like, Neva Saint, her? No, get out of here, like that. And so he gives him a hard time for choosing Neva. But Neva, on the other end, she is like, she's unknown. Nobody really knows her. And for her, this is a great opportunity to actually film in this biopic by Cannon Halt, because now that will, skyrocket her career. She will once, a person who was never heard of is now discovered. So she's like, I got to seize this opportunity. But this man is fine, but I need to focus. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to keep it professional. And so she's having a really hard time, because she's kind of like, I think he might like me the way I like him, but we're not going to say nothing. We're going to try to keep this professional, because again, this is a big opportunity. I don't want to, ruin my opportunity with this film. And same with Kanan. He doesn't want to ruin his opportunity of having a romance with her, even though he is strongly attracted to her. He's like, I can't do this. I got to really focus on getting this movie done. Well, that's really hard for them so far in the book. This is where I'm at though. So far in the book, and kudos to the people who is actually like the voiceover. The people that they use for the voices is really fun. So we get that Southern accent. We get where the chapters where they talk about Desi Blue, they even change her accent and make her sound more like she's from that time period, which is fun. There's some singing thrown into this audiobook. It's like a really fun audiobook, and I enjoyed it. Kanan's voice sometimes gets on my nerves, but that's just a personal preference. But it may not bother somebody else. So far, they have gotten to the point of her auditioning. That's where I'm at. She's auditioned in front of not just Kanan, but in front of the rest of the people, who, whatever you call the people who audition, the people for the cast or whatever, casting calls. Okay. He usually doesn't even attend those type of things. And so it's kind of odd that he just randomly shows up there. But he's like, I really got to push this so that we can make sure that they see how good she is. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the people's wheels get to turning, and they're like, yeah, she is good, but are you sure this is gonna really work? Like, we trust you, but we really want to make sure that she's the perfect fit for this role. And so to help Neva get more into her role, he asked her to basically go, I forgot who else. I gotta go back and listen to the audiobook and see who the person is that's riding with them, but it's another female that's with their casting, the cast. And they basically ride down to Alabama to go and revisit where Desi is from. So they go there and talk with one of her relatives, and even gets the approval of this little hidden gem, hidden secret about Miss Desi that they need to make sure they get approved. And if you're interested in the book, you'll get to see more about Miss Desi and why it's a big deal, about them getting it approved, because they don't want to like just give out personal details about her life that, you know, her family would be ashamed of. So Neva is responsible for that. Kanan loves that, but the whole time they're both kind of like on this thin line of trying not to cross the line and trying to stay professional. And he's really trying to avoid being alone with her so that he doesn't get tempted. And she's, you know, she's definitely shy, and every time she's around him, she's like trying to focus and not really look at him in that way, although he is handsome. You know, she's like, I still need this role. I need this job. This could just change my whole career and everything that I'm doing. Okay, so you'll have to come back later once I finish this book, and I'll tell you more about my review, if I really enjoyed that or not. But one of my previous reads that I had recently did a review on is 7 Days in June. So make sure you go back and watch my review for this book. Y'all, if you have not read this by Tia Williams, oh my goodness, you're gonna fall in love with Shane and Genevieve, or Eva. She changes her name to Eva. You're gonna fall in love with these two characters. And again, this is one of those books where the male character, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, you really side with him a lot. And then you really, you just got to read it. Read it and come back and tell me what you think about this. But make sure you go back and watch my review on this book, because this is a perfect summer read for right now. This came out, a couple years ago. Matter of fact, Tia Williams has a new book out that I want to go ahead and get that one as well, because the way that she writes, it's almost as if everything is jumping off the pages. You can really imagine everything happening right then and there, as if you're in the room with these two individuals. So really good book, really good read. I would highly recommend this if you haven't. Again, link in the bio for this. And that concludes my books for right now. What I'm reading, what I am going to read soon. And I hope you guys enjoy, and see you again. Bye.